On Tuesday, September 19th in Kona, the Hawaii County Council will take up a resolution in their Finance Committee requesting the legislative auditor conduct a review of the Department of Water Supply to ensure adequate contingency plans are in place to guarantee sufficient water to customers at all times, including during a disruption to deep well operations. The resolution follows a water supply presentation to the Council on September 5th in Hilo.
All for your for being here, of course, and giving us an additional update about what's going on. And you've heard the frustrations from the community, and you've heard the frustrations from the council members, especially myself and Ms. Eoff. It's very difficult to move forward, especially for us, because it's not part of our ability to oversee the water department in a certain way. You have the Board of Water, the board that oversees the department, and after I talk, I definitely want to get an update from what the board is intending to do, and I think you can explain that afterwards. But you know, the frustrations that I'm gonna bring out is the amount of time. We've been seeing these signs for a really long time. The sentiment from the community is we need this, we want this done as soon as possible, as expeditiously as possible, and I want to make sure that you guys are, you know, I know you said that's the number one priority. Is it going as fast as possible, or is there other processes that can make it faster?
Yeah, we're basically going as fast as possible. A lot of the restrictions that are really out of our control is the manufacturing process. So basically what we're doing is we're making phone calls on a regular basis, just tracking. We're not letting, assumptions that the manufacturer is going to meet a deadline. We're following up continuously with the manufacturers and the contractors. We're flying in whatever we can fly in, and yeah. So basically, yes, we're making this as fast as possible. Whatever we can do to expedite any portion of any project is what we're doing.
Okay, and another thing that was brought up, I don't know if you made a statement earlier, or there was a statement earlier about the fact that, you know, Ironman is coming up. Thousands and thousands of people, again, coming to Kona. I know we just had Queen Liliuokalani, where we did have influx of people from outside coming in that you stated didn't, with the water restrictions, they understood, you know, especially the washing of the canoes, what was going on here in Kona, and they were just making it so that they're obeying, you know, following what the water restrictions. But with Ironman coming up, can you just relay what the department's position was said about that? You know, that in years past there hasn't been an increase, or that much of an increase in water use, so that you don't think that this upcoming Ironman should have any differing effects upon that water use.
Right. I mean, we're bottom line, common sense indicates that you bring more people into the area, there's going to be a bump in water use. There's no doubt. But our review of past pumpage history for the past 5 years, you know, every month kind of differs, you know, primarily, I think, largely due to weather. But there hasn't been something significant enough during the months of September or October to indicate that there's going to be a situation that's really going to be stressed on our water system because of that event. And so we were also able to get a higher level of confidence in that line of thinking with this past weekend. It was kind of a mini test for us and our system. And really what we're hoping to get those 2 wells online prior to Ironman is really what's going to help us accommodate that event, besides the fact that people are continuing to do the right thing. Yeah.
And are you working with Ironman to make sure the messages gotten out about?
Yeah, we haven't reached out directly with Ironman organizers yet, but we definitely will do that.
Let me know. I can help. I can help too,
Okay.
and reach out.
That'd be great.
Also, I asked earlier about the board, what they're planning to do. I know we read in the paper previously that they had a certain general audit that they were thinking about doing, but in conversations with them, what do you see happening, or what does the board intend to do?
Right. So yeah, that's a good question. Matter of fact, the board, again, just like the department, and I think you folks, is really considering this a high priority. So normally we meet with the board once a month, every fourth Tuesday. But due to the circumstances, they're calling a special meeting next week, Wednesday, September 13th. I believe the notice was just posted today. And the intent of that special meeting is to discuss the possibility of convening a task force or permitted interaction group. I think the intent really is to combine some of the board members, some members from private industry that's familiar with well operations or operating a private water system, some members from the department, to create a group where, I guess, exchange ideas, come up with ideas, plans, procedures, review what we're doing now. Maybe there's some stuff we haven't thought about yet. Think out of the box, help us think out of the box, help come up with some maybe creative ideas or solutions that might help us with our improving our well operations. So that's happening next Wednesday, the 13th. It'll be in Kona, council chambers, 10 a.m., I believe.
The board approved establishing the permitted interaction group. The plan is to have 4 of the board members on the working group and to add community members. Several community members either volunteered or offered suggestions. Board Chair Craig Takamine said the board will review the suggestions and determine who the members are for the working group, with the first meeting to take place sometime in October. We spoke with Takamine after the meeting.
The board really felt like we need to do something, with all of these wells down here in North Kona. We definitely have a sense of urgency. We need to look for solutions. I appreciate the board approving this permitted interaction group. And between the 4 board members that are going to be on this group, we're going to look for experts to help us, because we're not experts, as you can understand, pumps and wells. So really looking for experts that can help us, think outside of the box, look for solutions, and not only like stopgap solutions, but we're looking at, long-term solutions for some of the issues we've been having. And, honestly, Sherry, I take as much responsibility as the department, for all of these issues that have gone on. And, I know the community, is not happy, and rightfully so, And so at this point, we're just looking at solutions and trying to come up with the best possible solutions for the long term. And hopefully we can report back in a month or two.
We also spoke with Kona resident John Moore, an engineer and longtime project manager who had some thoughts on the water situation.
I think the water supply owes it to the public to let the public know what is actually going on in real detail. So that's really about where I am. If they're tracking what the repairs are and how many are redundant, and if they are redundant, they should be keeping parts, because they can expect that sort of a problem again in the future.
Moore did some work for the Department of Water Supply back in 1975.
They should have somebody on staff, or if they don't have somebody on staff, they should hire an outside consultant who is an old-time well drilling construction stiff and who knows how to do this. They dropped one pump in a well already. We know, we who are in the business know that probably the same contractor dropped another pump in an incomplete well as they were trying to complete it, 2 to 3 years ago. And that held that contractor up for several months, if not more than a year. if you have the same problem recur twice, it's time to figure out a way to eliminate that problem. And one of the ways to do it is to have proper supervision and have somebody standing by who knows what's going on.
Part-time Kona resident Vince Owen also offered his thoughts. Owen is a water engineer who has worked in the Central Valley of California and has had extensive experience with wells.
This whole situation could be solved by standardizing, utilizing the same pump in every well. So this way minimize the amount of parts that's needed where the parts are interchangeable. Because right now you have 2 or 3 different make of pumps that's being utilized, so that means they're not interchangeable. Another thing also is the maintenance that's required to maintain these pumps. There has to be some form of standard set where the problem is preventative instead of reactive. And that's the biggest problem that I see right now. And if this could be done, and it could be done, but it takes effort and working together between the people in charge and the people doing it, and they have to know what they're doing.
On Tuesday, September 19th in Kona at 10:30 a.m., the Committee on Agriculture, Water, and Energy Sustainability will take up Bill 65, which amends the county water use and development plan to include provisions for the Keaho Aquifer system. That's the same water system that the National Park Service wanted to have designated as a groundwater management area by the state. The National Park's petition was denied after years of debate. It's also the same aquifer system that is now under an emergency water restriction after 5 water wells stopped working.
Man, the timing with all of this stuff going on has just been uncanny. For us, this well situation is like an anomaly, almost like a perfect storm, 100-year storm. But coupled with the timing of closing out this Keaho Aquifer situation is just uncanny. It's not related directly, but some items that's coming out of the water use and development plan, I think are going to come into play as good things to keep in mind moving forward. Using this freshwater resource for its highest intended use, human consumption and things like that. So we might have to take a look at long-range planning efforts and how we can incorporate the proper use of this resource, especially in areas that are drier, like Keaho, and maybe even look at how it affects maybe our planning policies, things like that, as well as procedures with the Department of Water Supply.